So that's a lot of people. All right, so we're just gonna get into it. So defining your defaults and how to make your development environment feel like home. First of all, what do we see here? This is like just a bunch of screenshots that I took randomly from a subreddit about customizing your own developer environment. And the first thing that we see is that there's, first of all, lots of really nice colors, which is always nice. And it's something for everyone. So it's like different operating systems. This runs on Windows. This is like on VS Code. This is actually on Mac, and it runs through different, seriously? We don't care. Yeah, there. So it runs on Mac, and it uses a text editor that is called Neovim. Does anyone here know about it? Neovim? So 1, 2, 3. So not many people know about it. So yeah, and one thing that stands out right here is this one right here. This is actually the CLI, so it's not a text editor. And this here is actually customized. This is what you call a prompt. And usually it just tells you where the directory that you are is at. But this person right here customized that to show a bit of like additional info that you would need almost all the time. Like what Python environment you're in. So if you're inside a Python environment, it just shows you, hey, you're inside this one, so you don't do like commands accidentally. Or what Git branch you're on. Yeah, what Git branch you're on, so you don't like commit to the wrong branch, or that, I don't know, you would be working on the wrong project, right? So first of all, we have to define a couple of things. When we say development environment, what does that actually mean? So does anyone have an idea what development might mean?
Anything you build software.
Yeah, so stuff that you build. And development itself, I think, is just another word for solving problems. This is ultimately what we do all day as developers. There's a problem, and we want to solve it. So yeah. And ideally, it would be something that is automated. So you have a program that does it for you, and ideally a lot faster than you would have it be done by hand. And we have to think about the problem-solving aspect, because we as developers also like run into problems. I think a lot of people are here familiar with that. Do you guys like have any ideas what those problems might be? Anything that you find frustrating while developing? Yeah? It works on my system. Yeah, the next talk is going to be about Docker, which is something that solves that. But let's think about more ergonomic stuff that we like is just very annoying, like constantly mistyping.
Having to look up commands all of the time.
You have to look up commands. Usually you have to open a browser tab for it, and you forget to close it, and then you have 30 or something, right? So these are just some examples of all the stuff that we run into. We have lots of tabs open and multiple windows, and we just get icons showing like where we're at, but these icons don't really tell us anything, right? They just, yeah, show you that this is the website. We have lots of windows open that we don't know how to manage. Where is what? How do I open it? You need to like see it before you click on it, so you end up going where you want to go. And here we have VS Code telling us that there's this error, but I don't think anybody here would know how to read this, right? And right here we have a JSON error, but it's not really an error. Like if you guys see that, it says semicolon expected, but it's a colon. But if you know anything about JSON, it uses colons. So why is it telling us that it's an error, right? And we have enough of those, and we end up like this guy, very frustrated because we're confused. and we don't like it. So these are just like another names for all the problems that we run into. We have a lot of mental overhead. We have to keep a lot in our head to like keep track of it. There's a lot of tools that are just like complete magic, and we don't understand them. And we have awkward workflows. Awkward just means that we have to think about it. And I don't know if you guys know about this, but if you want to make someone feel like really awkward, tell them about like the way that they walk, right? And just watch them try to walk afterwards. They would just like do the weirdest things ever. So yeah, so thinking about what you have to do. Sorry, visit day at work apparently. And yeah, there's a lot of friction. So you just like to get where you want to get, there's just like so much in between you and the information that you need. So yeah. Now, what might be the culprit of this? I'm pretty sure a lot of you are familiar with this over here, right? Any idea what that is? Yeah? Yeah, that is actually pretty sure that's VS Code, right? Yeah.
No, it's PyCharm.
It's PyCharm. Okay. So yeah, this green button, do we know what happens when we click it?
Magic.
Yeah. Yeah, Python runs. But what does it actually run? Like,
The main file execution.
yeah, it runs the main file, correct. But did you know this when you first started out? Right?
I'm too old that I know it.
You're told that you know it. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty sure like once you get into it, you would like actually know what these do. But when you're starting out, this like you're being presented with a lot of buttons that do what seems like magic to us, and we don't know what actually happens in the background. So when we either A, don't have these buttons, or need the buttons do something else, we're stuck and we don't know it. And this is a very like prominent example of it. Like you see this all the time. And we might think about this one because the first time you need to like actually develop an app, you wouldn't use this button, you would use something else. So like we are kind of like automatically taught out of it.
Actually depends on the language.
Actually,
Yes. If
yeah.
you use code, you can use the I and be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, of course, it depends on your use cases and everything. But most of the time, there's some kind of like shortcut that you're taking that is forcing you into not thinking about what you want to do, right? So like there's a lot of magic involved, right? So basically, we're taking a lot of shortcuts, and it takes our question of how do we run code into something more of if the code runs, right? When we press this button, we're not concerned about how it happens, we're just concerned about if it happens, right? And that is like a lot less dimensional than how stuff works, right? And when stuff gets broken, then we don't know how to fix it. And then we end up like this guy again. So do you guys, or do you think you can guess what is going on here in this picture? Like, People are optimizing shortcuts. And there's like a very well-structured path. It says that, and it works. And there's a path over here. Why do you think people made these? Like,
This is what happens when like city planners or other planners don't take into consideration how people are actually using the thing they're designing.
yeah, exactly, right? And now when we think about it, when stuff don't go as planned, when the weather is not nice anymore, what do? We can't like walk on dirt anymore because we like our shoes and we don't want it to get dirty. So we're forced to take the thing that is like poorly optimized, right? And this is the same thing that happens when we use buttons like these. They work when the weather is nice, when everything is fine, but the moment it rains, we want to run a different code or something, then we either like just walk through that or go the unoptimized route. So when we look at these paths, this is like also a representation of software in a sense, because this path is like a bit more usable, right? And this is like a bit more beginner friendly, right? So if you don't know how to walk on dirt, you would like probably fall, but you're probably not going to fall on concrete, right? And these concepts are like different like levels in different softwares, right? So intuitive or accessible, usable, advanced, customizable, beginner friendly. There's a lot of programs that have all of these. There are programs that have none. There are programs that are just like designed to be one of these things, right? And these traits of every software impact what we choose, right? And there's like, when we think of these here, right? When we look at Notepad from Windows, we like can assume that everyone has it and everyone knows how to type, I hope. So it is very accessible. It is very beginner friendly because you just press a button and then you have a white board that you can write on. And then we have Paint, which is also the same level of accessibility. You can maybe like do drawings that you couldn't do with Notepad. So it's a bit more usable. You can use it for different things. And then you have stuff like Notion, right? You can still write stuff in it, but Notepad is actually more usable because you cannot write code in Notion, but you can actually program in Notepad if you want to do that, right? And then you have something like Photoshop, which is like very advanced and not very beginner friendly, but it's very usable. And it's very, like people still use it because you can do things with that you cannot do with other software, right? And then Figma is the same thing. And then, you know, you have VS Code or NeoVim, right? These are just all very, either like more intuitive, more accessible, usable, or customizable, right? And they have all different grades of that, right? So when we think of those, why would we like not just, if we can like write with Notepad already, we can code with Notepad, why would we ever bother going for VS Code or NeoVim, which is like an actual integrated dev environment? Because if the problem is just speed, we can just write faster and not make mistakes, right? So the question is pretty much, why not just get a faster horse, right? Why don't we just manage stuff better, like manage our windows better, or close our tabs when we, you know, go to the docs, or get faster internet so there's less friction? Because we're not really thinking about the problem, right? And I'm pretty sure you guys guessed what I'm getting at already, but this is the picture of, or what Wikipedia tells me that the first car was. And the funny thing is, the first car was actually not faster than a horse. It was a lot slower, and it took a long time until the car like became faster than horses, right? And there's an important detail here, is that cars had a very big advantage over horses because they did not leave massive turds in front of your house, right? So that was like a reason why we choose cars now. And you could scale cars a lot better. Like, how much faster can a faster horse really get? Like, only a bit. And you still have like all the problems that are attached to horses, right? So, yeah, cars solve that. And to be, oh, that was a bit too early, but whatever. And the person who made the car had to be a bit innovative. And innovation requires us to be like observant and also very curious about how we can improve our situation, just solve problems, because this is what development is about, right? And this is where most of the effort happens. This is also applies to our development environment, right? So yeah. So what do we need to observe? When we go back to our workflows, we had the mismanaged windows, the difficult to write text and magical tools. We have to think about what made the button, for example, in Python very comfortable and made us like default to it. So we like choose the wrong path, although it's like easier, right? So when I think of comfortable, I usually think of home, right? That's why the title of my talk is making your environment feel like home, because you want to be comfortable in your environment, right? So I figured that these are some things that I have in mind when I'm at home. I know where everything is. I can do everything on autopilot, and I don't have to really watch where I'm going. If the lights are off, then no big deal. I know where I need to go. I default to better habits. So like I don't have like junk food laying around at home. So I can like teach my environment what I want. And I have a good time because my coffee machine is there, right? And that is also very important for the environment that you have. And I did not like make this up, right? These concepts have existed for a long time. There's actually a book about it. It's called The Pragmatic Programmer. We can talk about it later. And these are some of the chapters that I found there that talks about all of this, how you can master your editor, how you can think about what you're programming, and lots of other things that just push us into thinking about software differently and be a bit more problem-oriented, like solution-oriented, sorry. With that said, everyone has their own struggles. So I want to like define something here first, which is the word Sonder, which just means that you realize that everything is very complex and everyone else is very complex. And for every second that you existed, they probably existed, right? And because otherwise you're going to end up like this guy, alone at a party, and you're going to wonder why nobody thinks that you're cool. Pretty sure you relate. So that's enough defining things. So let's actually do something actionable, right? The window management solution is very easy to solve, for example. This is Raycast. It's, does anyone here use Mac mainly? All right, so almost like 20, 30%. Windows? All right, does everyone else use Linux then?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Yeah, I actually did not expect it to be that high because when I look at the charts, it's like 80% Windows, right? So, yeah. So then when I say i3, everyone knows what I'm talking about, right? Does anyone here use Linux and not know what i3 is? Okay, perfect. Does anyone use Linux? i3. i3?
No.
Okay, well, I'll just explain it then. i3 is a tiling window manager, right? So everything just opens up in tiles instead of windows, right? So when you open a browser and open a text editor, instead of being like on top of each other, it would just like structure it next to each other.
I know what this is. Yeah.
Perfect, yeah. And this is exactly what Aerospace is. That is Aerospace for Mac. And I think for Windows, there's something called Glaze Window Manager. And I use it for a while. It works pretty well, actually, for what Windows can accomplish. But yeah, I don't want to be that guy, so I'm not going to talk bad about Windows a lot. So yeah. So yeah, what we can see here is the shortcuts that I, for example, set for the things that I use. You might wonder what this is. This is my hyper key, right? So when I press it, it presses Command, Shift, Option, and Alt at the same time, right? Sorry, Control at the same time. So I can just override all the other shortcuts that I have, so I don't have to like worry about the shortcuts. And this is assigned to my right thumb, so I just press the right command, and my left hand is free now, and that's where all the other keys are, and that's like how I jump around the windows, right? Same thing for this thing. These are just like how I used to manage my windows, and I would just like send things to the left of the screen, right of the screen, make it smaller, bigger, or maximize it. And I just like, instead of having to press like F3 on Mac and just see all the windows pop up, and then I have to think about what window I wanted and how it like looks like, or what the icon of that program is, I can just press it and it would be there, right? This, for example, is like do we know what the aliases are? Yeah, perfect. All right, so this is a different way of defining aliases. So instead of just like using get status, you can just do GT, for example, and that would be your get status. But I like define it a bit differently here. We don't need to worry about this. This is exactly what it does, is that I like told it that when I do GT, instead of just doing get, it would do get status. But if I give it any arguments, like A, for example, then it would do get add, right? So it would like omit the first argument, right? The get status. So that's like another way that we can think about aliases. It doesn't have to be like something that is fixed, right? But aliases are still very cool. We should probably use them. And yeah, so I spoke about the prompt in the first slide. And this is how mine looks like. We can see again, there's a lot of colors because colors are nice, and they actually like give you a bit of information. Usually this right here would be like green for me because I want to know if I have like any changes. This like is the Git management thing, right? So I want to know if I have any changes that I did not push, so I don't like forget anything. And it looks pretty because of Starship. And this is just a library or a bash command that you can use that would make it like that, and you can configure it. And these are all the aliases that I use. And your shell, you can actually customize it by adding plugins. And these are like some examples for the plugins. We can talk about it later, but these are not so important. I just wanted to bring it up. And yeah, that was all like software, how we can change our editor or our prompt and whatever. But most of our work happens through keyboards, right? So do you guys think that we like specifically designed keyboards to be as ergonomic as possible? Yeah, so yeah, it's just a default, right? And actually, the reason why keyboards look like this is because it was the only way that we could have a typewriter work, right? We need to like stagger the keys, right? So they fit. And we just took that over and we didn't think about it. And we just put that on a PC, although any other configuration would have worked just fine, right? So I thought about my keyboard a bit, and I told you about it already, for example. I don't see why we need two command keys on both buttons, so both thumbs. So for example, I could like rebind this one to something else, which is the hyperkey. These are very easy to reach keys, right? So why are they just letters, right? We can probably do a bit more with them, like managing our windows or having stuff that we can easily reach. These right here are buttons that I use a lot, but they are included in the Arch zone because I don't know, but my pinky finger cannot take it, right? Like all the brackets and semicolons and whatever. So what I actually did is when I press the semicolon and any of these buttons here, I can write all the symbols that are here. So I don't have to use this. And that is something that like we can just think about. Or for examples, as developers, I don't think we use a lot of numbers and we use symbols a lot more. So why is it by default that we have to press shift and press any button to any of the numbers to do a symbol? Wouldn't that like make sense if we did that in reverse? And this is like something that we can just think about. And we can even take this approach and apply it to something like our text editor. This, as you can see, is something that I had printed on my wall when I first started, because I really wanted to know how to just do things faster and remember more, right? But I was just looking for a faster horse, right? I just wanted to just be faster, whatever that means, right? And didn't really think about it. So I don't know about you, but I find this a lot of mental overhead that I have to remember. I cannot remember 30 whatever key shortcuts when I just wanted to save my file or format it. So I looked for something else and I found Vim, right? And that is, again, something that we can just think about, and how we can use layers in a way to make things a bit more memorable, right? Let's say, for example, we want to, it has like a very simple like schema for commands, right? If you want to delete 2 words, you just do D to W, and you would just delete 2 words. You want to, I don't know, change 2 words, then you do C to W. And it's just this layer of like layerable thinking kind of makes you like learn one thing, and then you would be able to do 3 actions with that, instead of just learning 1 shortcut and being able to do 1 thing, right? So this is like kind of my not faster horse, this is like my car for the faster horse that I was looking for. Yeah.
Sorry to interject. Was it easier for you to learn Vim or how to drive a car?
Well, since I did both, I would say learning Vim was easier. Yeah. 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 I mean, but I did already have an advantage while learning Vim. I already knew how to use a keyboard, so yeah.
At least exiting the car is intuitive.
Yeah, exiting the car is a lot more intuitive, yeah. Yeah.
You heard about Dvorak layout for keyboard?
Yeah, I did hear about it. It's just another layout, right? Like,
Too lazy to try it out.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I did try it, but, you know, again, for me, it was just the faster horse, right? And it wasn't a car, right? And I was looking for a rocket ship, so it didn't work. So yeah, and there are like very similar things that we can learn, where just one change can teach us how to interact, like make it interact with other things, right? For example, I spoke about aliases and everything, which is like bash essentially, and how we can work in the CLI. And yeah, you usually use bash commands when you work in the CLI. And this right here, sorry, this not from up top. This is what happens when you echo your path. Your path is like what your shell has access to when you do commands. And as you can see, it's not very readable, and you can't really tell where everything is going. And I learned about sed through Vim, and I can use sed inside of Vim, and now I can use it also in my shell. So I kind of like combine those 2 things, and for learning one thing, I can do 2 things. Like, for example, replacing all the semicolons with new lines so I can read this. And these are just things that, again, we can think about. Anyways, and this is something that also like in the first, where we had like all the concept that we can think about, there was something called the power of plain text. And what that means is, for like my implementation for it was that I wanted to be able to, on a new Mac, within like 20 minutes or so, have a Mac that I can work on. And this is like, I don't know, in case I spilled water on my Mac and I need to get a new one, right? Because, yeah. In 4 commands, if I just like run these 4 commands and I just need to remember them, I will have all of the software that I need and all of the commands that I need and dependencies and whatever on my PC within like 20 minutes and be able to work on it again. And this is, you know, again, when you don't need it, it's not that cool, but when you need it, it works. So yeah, and this is where you come in, and this is like my invitation to you to think about your software and think about your development environment and how you can just make it a little bit better. And you can just explore these things that you always thought were magic, and maybe you might find a couple cool things. And if we come back to this slide, you have to also like ponder about it. So you would look at something and realize that it's like probably a lot more complex than you originally thought. And you can maybe find a really big passion in what you do, and maybe that becomes your hobby, right? So don't take things at face value, just think about it a bit more, and you might find something cool. So, and yeah, one day we can all be like this guy, where we just look at our tools and we know where everything is, and yeah, be very happy. But still be bold because we work with JavaScript. So yeah. Yeah, and that was it. And thank you for your attention. Yeah. Yeah.
We have time for questions. Maybe let's start it off. Can you show again how you stored all your configs? Because I think
Yeah.
The Primachain has a quite
Yeah.
solid opinion on not customizing things too much, because, as you said, if you need
Yeah.
to set it up from scratch, you need to get all things right again. So how could you make it easy to restore all your configs, or to keep this maintainable?
Okay, so this command right here, stow, takes all of my, okay, so I'm going to explain how this actually works. The Git repo right here is just sitting inside my folder in root, where I have all my configs, right? And these configs are symlinked, like aliased to my configs. So like what is actually in my .config files is not actually my configs, they're just like a shortcut to it,
Okay.
right? And this all happens because of stow right here. So
this way you can configure things that are spread throughout
Yeah.
the machine.
exactly, yeah. And they all live, there's my configs folder. Inside the configs folder, there's the .config, where all my configuration is. And that .config folder gets copied to the actual config folders. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Right
would
there?
actually suggest a little bit different approach.
There was a question. Let's do that first, and then, yeah.
So just to, how often have you really used the dot files in real life? Because I remember
Yeah.
when I found out about that, I set it up, I configured everything, and it took me probably a day playing around with it. It's a cool feature,
Yeah.
and then I've never used it again.
Maybe repeat the question.
Huh?
Repeat the question.
Okay, yeah. So how often I use it? Is it
Or have
that,
you used it?
or have I used it? Actually, yes. I mean, I started a new job recently. I got a new MacBook, and I didn't want to spend any free time on it to set it up, because I'm very special with my configurations. And that was actually a time where I used it. I just the day I came and I got my Mac, I just ran it, and within 20 minutes I was already running a new MacBook, which is, again, I did spend a day maybe configuring it, but it also saved me a day. And then anytime where I use it again, it's going to be just extra days that I get to live, which is nice. And actually using the dot files, that's always being used, right? Also it's also tracked through Git, right? So any time I mess something up, I can just return to it, and that's all managed through the dot files. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that the way you restore it is not super flexible. And
Yeah.
To me, there is a better way which works identically well on a desktop and also on the server side. Just
Yeah.
invest a little bit of effort in Ansible,
Ansible, yeah.
create a playbook, run it, done.
Yeah, okay, so the better approach is just using Ansible, which is, again, it's just a preference, I would say, right? And at the end of the day, it's all sand, you would say. It's all we're all running programs on a bunch of silicon, right? So whether it's Ansible or the way I do it, it's just comes down to what you choose. Yeah,
Far from it.
no worries, yeah, yeah. Do we have More questions? No.
No,
Okay.
Then
Yeah.
let's have another
Then.
round of-
Actually, one.
Yeah.
So after all the configuration, on which ID did you settle then? Was it NeoVim?
Yes, Neovim.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the one I chose. Yeah.
And what language are you usually working in?
JavaScript, like TypeScript. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It works. Yeah.
Peer pressure, man.
Yeah.
Let's have another round of applause for Housein.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.